Peace to the gods and goddesses, kings and queens, y'all. So I just came here to talk about the cross, right? I was talking earlier, I had posted something earlier about how other people just was like, since y'all don't want y'all history, we'll just take y'all culture, we just go ahead and put our faces on there and our names on there. Y'all don't want to study y'all own stuff, right? And an interesting subject came up about wearing the cross. So I just want to pose a question to my people, right? If they start selling trees, gold trees with nooses on them, would y'all wear that in honor of your ancestors? If they start selling trees with nooses on it and a depiction of our ancestors hanging off of it, would you wear it in honor of your ancestors? If they start selling nooses to wear or have pictures painted to honor your ancestors, would you use that as a depiction of honor to your ancestors? I would just have to guess and say you probably wouldn't. That's just my guess. Now, I could be wrong. So I'm saying all of that to say that when we wear these crosses without even realizing the origin of it, first of all, I want to talk about the origin of the cross, right? Because it's completely astronomical. Most of the sigils and emblems that we wear that's connected to religion is astronomical, completely astrological, completely, all right? So the cross is actually depicted from the southern crooks during the winter solstice, right? So when they looked up in the sky and those 3 days, it appeared that the sun stops, it stands still. Solstice, stand still. That's where it comes from, all right? So it appears to be sitting on a cross in the sky, right? Where it appears to have, to have a centerpiece, a cross, right? And the sun sits like right in the center of it. So this is where the Bible is depicting that Jesus died on the cross. The Son of Man or the Son of God died on the cross. It's talking about the actual sun during the winter solstice. And the perception of the people at that time, it appeared to look like a cross. And that's where the sun stopped at for 3 days. And then it rose up 3 degrees. So that's where the resurrection of the sun comes from. All this stuff is completely astrological. All right. So in the Western civilizations, right, when they would persecute people or they would execute them, they would put them on a torture stake. Those torture stakes were upright poles. They looked like this, like a wooden pole, right? Y'all can Google all this stuff. And they call it a starus. I think the spelling is S-T-A-R-O-U-S, I want to say. It was called a starus, but they called it a torture stake or a cross, right? It wasn't until, I want to say, between the 16 and 1700s where that centerpiece was added by the Roman Catholic Church. And then the cross started to look like this, with the upright piece and then the centerpiece, right? And they started to use that as a sigil or an emblem to for frequency uses. They say it was to expel demons, but this is what they started to use to execute people. This is why it says that Jesus was on a torture stake or on a cross with 3 criminals. This is how they executed people back then. This was their culture. This is where all this stuff come from, right? So if they started to use the cross, or the cross was also astronomically known to be a depiction of death. Do y'all realize y'all are wearing a symbol of death around your neck when you wear a cross, right? Especially when it's added, when the dead man is added to it. That's a symbol of persecution and death and execution. Now they put you in an electric chair, but back then they put your ass on a torture stake or on a cross. And they would murder you, persecute you. They hung people from these things. That's why when they came over here, they was hanging us from trees. They just didn't have time to sit there and build a cross. They just hung you from the tree. But when they had their meetings, their KKK meetings, their Ku Klux meetings, they carried the cross, then it was burning. That's where they got that from, because the original cross originates from the sun, the winter solstice, and the depiction of the sun sitting in the center of it. So, you know, I just want people to realize that if there's a history to all of the things that we do. And there's also frequency. Everything has life. Everything has life. Even when you put your loved ones, their body, their shell, although it has no consciousness to it, you know, a person's body still can grow hair. Once you put that body in the dirt, in the ground, it also revitalizes that dirt. It's the circle of life. You go dig up dirt from a cemetery. This is where witches used it, or people who did voodoo or cast spells used it. You can use it for good or bad, good or evil, because dirt has life in it, right? This is why the Bible says you're created from the dirt. It's really talking about the energetics, your energetic, electromagnetic energy from the dirt, because there's dirt, there's energy, there's life in that dirt. There's life in it, you know. So I just wanted to come here and talk about the origination of the cross. This is where it comes from. It comes from an astronomical depiction of the perception of the people during the winter solstice, to where it looks like the sun stopped right there in the center of the Southern Crooks. All you have to do is Google. You can look on Google. You can go to the library. You can go to your encyclopedia. You can look it up in a dictionary. You can do all this stuff, right? I particularly learned about a lot of this stuff when I was a Jehovah's Witness. But what I didn't know is I was still being indoctrinated and misled when I was believing the stuff they were teaching too. But what they didn't believe in was the cross, right? Even when I was a believer, I never understood that. That's a symbol of persecution. It's a symbol of death. So yeah. And even in the Bible, I want to say Psalms 146. I want to say somewhere in there. And even in the first 5 books of the Bible, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, it tells you not to, you know, wear molten images, but they do it anyway. They don't believe their own stuff. They do everything their book tells them not to do. You feel me? But anyway, those things they draw frequencies to yourself, okay? So I just wanted to talk about that. If you wouldn't honor your ancestors and wear golden trees around your neck with them hanging from the wire, would you be walking around with a cross on your neck? Especially one with a dead man on it. Peace.